My girlfriend's childhood friend, deliberately mistranslated everything I said to her father, telling him I called Japanese food disgusting and his company a joke. He was furious until I surprised everyone by telling him the truth in perfect Japanese, by destroying his favorite employee with perfect Japanese. Before my girlfriend Mika first brought me to meet her father at his company in Japan, I was terrified. She had told me dozens of stories about how traditional he was. One time, a foreign employee showed up to a meeting 5 minutes late, and her dad still calls him Late Larry 3 years later. Another time, someone poured soy sauce directly on their rice at a company dinner, and her dad muttered, Yabanjin, barbarian, under his breath. The worst part? Her dad was also going to be my boss. Mika promised he'd hire me at his trading company, but I was still scared, because I was a purebred American, and I knew it was a big dream of his for Mika to marry a Japanese businessman. In the months leading up to meeting him, I spent 2 hours every day in a Japanese setting to learn the culture. Business hotels, office districts, even corporate drinking parties. So when the time came, I had practically formed a script in my head of how to act and speak. Mika, of course, didn't know any of this. I kept it a secret because I didn't want her to think I was desperate. When the day came, I walked into the restaurant and bowed at exactly the right angle when introduced. I waited for him to sit first, poured his beer immediately, and responded properly to everything. I called him Shacho and kept my mouth shut unless spoken to. I knew things were going well when his secretary kept refilling my tea, smiling about how polite I was. And her dad didn't speak English, but it really seemed like he liked me too. He would nod every time I said hi, yes, at the right moments, and complained about young people these days as if I wasn't American. Now, you're probably wondering how I understood what he was saying. Well, I went behind Mika's back. While studying Japanese business culture, I started taking intensive Japanese lessons. I didn't want to say anything about it because I wanted to surprise her at our wedding. So up until this point, it had been around 6 months of lessons, and I could hear how well Mr. Tanaka was speaking of me to his secretary. Mika was practically glowing with pride. I had no idea that it was the calm before the storm, because there was just one person who made it abundantly clear that I was an unwanted guest, and that was Hiro, Mika's childhood friend who worked at the company. He constantly made snide remarks in English about how I was taking advantage of the boss's daughter, made jokes about how I was probably just here for a visa, but I was convinced that I would win him over eventually, and just shrugged it off. But the next time I was there for a big client dinner, things had completely changed. When me and Mika showed up at the private room, her dad barely acknowledged me and asked Mika in Japanese, Nande gaijin ga daiji na shudan ni kite runda? Why is the foreigner here for important business? Mika looked just as confused as me, but just rolled her eyes before we sat down. The clients arrived and Mr. Tanaka served everyone premium sushi and wagyu beef. Meanwhile, he pointed me to a plate of natto mixed with raw squid and fermented fish guts. There was so much that the smell made everyone shift away from me, and just before I could ask for rice to mix it with, Mr. Tanaka turned to Mika and said, Kore wa itsumo Kenji no ichiban suki data. This was always Kenji's favorite. That's when everything made sense. Kenji was her Japanese ex from university, and he worked at Mitsubishi. Her father hadn't accepted me. So there I was, pretending to eat fermented fish guts, when Hiro turned to my future boss and the clients and said in Japanese, America jin ga nihon no bijinezu bunka wa jidayokure date itemashita. The American just told me Japanese business culture is outdated. I froze. My girlfriend opened her mouth to speak, but I lightly touched her wrist under the table, because I had to test the waters. This dinner is really wonderful, I said in English, with a completely straight face. Kare wa nihon shoku ga mazukute McDonald's ga tabetai te itemasu. He says Japanese food is disgusting, and he wants McDonald's, Hiro translated. Mr. Tanaka's face went red, and he started apologizing to the clients. The room was silent. I couldn't even hide my smile. Thank you for including me in this important meeting, I said. Kare wa anata no kaisha wa judan mitai de, America jin no hu ga zenbu umaku yaru ta imashita. He said your company is a joke and Americans do everything better. Hiro lied. That's when I looked directly at Mr. Tanaka and said in perfect business Japanese, Shacho, watashi wa rokkagetsu nihongo wo benkyū shimashita. Musume-san to kekkon shitai desu. Hiro-san no honyaku wa zenbu uso desu. Shacho, I've been studying Japanese for 6 months. I want to marry your daughter. Everything Hiro translated was a lie. My girlfriend nearly spit out her wine. Even the secretary gasped and covered her mouth. The client sat back down, fascinated. Hiro tried to recover, stammering excuses, but it was over. I had won, and I didn't know it at the time, but Hiro was still plotting revenge through his connections, and it wasn't long before he turned my entire life upside down. Monday morning arrived with the kind of tension that made my stomach churn. I walked through the glass doors of Tanaka Trading, trying to maintain the confidence I'd shown at the dinner. The receptionist gave me a nervous smile and handed me my temporary badge. Something felt off. The elevator ride to the 3rd floor seemed longer than usual. When the doors opened, I immediately noticed employees whispering in corners, their conversations dying as I passed. I reached my assigned desk and stopped cold. Natto covered every inch of the surface, mixed with squid ink that dripped onto the floor. The smell hit me like a physical force. A piece of paper sat in the center, the black ink bleeding through. Gaijin go home. My phone buzzed. Mika's Mika's text came through frantically. Are you at the office? People are saying things, terrible things about you. I grabbed paper towels from the break room, ignoring the stares. As I cleaned, I noticed Sato from accounting taking photos with his phone. He didn't even try to hide it. The morning meeting started without me. By the time I'd cleaned enough to work, 3 clients had already called to cancel their appointments. Mr. Tanaka's assistant informed me they all cited internal restructuring. The pattern was too obvious to ignore. During lunch, I headed to the building entrance for fresh air. Hiro stood there, leaning against the wall with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Security blocked his path when he tried to enter. Shacho won't protect you forever, he called out, loud enough for the arriving employees to hear. Several people quickened their pace, avoiding eye contact with both of us. Back inside, HR manager Yamada pulled me into a private meeting room. She closed the door carefully and spoke in hushed tones. Hiro had filed a formal complaint before leaving the company, claiming wrongful termination and discrimination. The paperwork sat thick on her desk. My phone buzzed again. Mika sent screenshots of her Instagram, flooded with anonymous messages. They claimed I was using her for a visa, for money, that I'd said horrible things about Japanese women. Her friend Yui had already called her, confused and hurt. The afternoon brought more cancellations. Mr. Tanaka's jaw tightened with each phone call. His faith in me was being tested, and we both knew it. The welcome lunch my team had planned turned into an awkward affair. Halfway through, phones started buzzing around the table. One by one, my coworkers excused themselves with vague emergencies. Within 20 minutes, I sat alone with my cold ramen. Building security approached me later that afternoon. They showed me footage from the coffee shop across from the parking garage. Hiro met with 3 current employees there every evening after work. The timestamp showed yesterday at 6 p.m. I found something on my windshield when I left that night. A business card from Hiro's new company with better offer inside written on the back in his handwriting. I crumpled it and tossed it in the trash. The next morning, my train commute turned chaotic when someone accidentally spilled coffee on my suit. I recognized the person from Hiro's social media posts. They worked at his new firm. The stains spread across my jacket as other passengers moved away from the commotion. Mika's mother called her that afternoon, upset. Her temple friends had heard I planned to take Mika to America, to separate her from her family. The rumors spread faster than we could counter them. My presentation files corrupted on the company server. IT traced unauthorized access using my credentials, though I hadn't touched those files in days. The project deadline loomed while I scrambled to rebuild everything from memory. During lunch, I caught Sato photographing my personal documents. He'd waited until I stepped away to refill my water. When confronted, he mumbled something about just checking something and hurried away. The building cafe staff suddenly refused to serve me. The manager claimed it was a management decision when I asked for explanation. Other employees pretended not to notice as I stood there, holding my empty tray. That evening, Mika called me crying. Someone had followed her home from work. The car disappeared when she turned to confront them, but she recognized it from Hiro's social media. He'd posted photos of his new company's parking spot with that exact vehicle in the background. An anonymous blog post appeared online. The American who destroyed a Japanese man's career through lies. It detailed a twisted version of events, painting me as a manipulative foreigner who'd conspired to remove loyal employees. The post went viral in certain business circles. 3 employees requested transfers from my team the next day. They cited cultural differences in their formal requests. Mr. Tanaka's expression grew darker with each personnel change. At the company drinks event, I recognized Hiro's ex-girlfriend chatting with someone from our accounting department. She kept glancing my way, whispering things that made her companion look uncomfortable. Mr. Tanaka's golf partner mentioned concerning things he'd heard about the American son-in-law during their weekend game. The rumors had reached even his personal circle. My apartment neighbor complained to the building manager about late-night parties that never happened. She insisted the noise came from my unit, despite me being asleep by 10 every night. LinkedIn flooded with connection requests from Hiro's network. Each profile view felt like surveillance. They weren't trying to connect. They were gathering intelligence. The convenience store clerk mentioned someone had been asking questions about my daily routine, what time I arrived, what I purchased, which train I took. The clerk thought it strange enough to warn me. My immigration lawyer called with troubling news. Someone had filed an official complaint about my certification exam, claiming irregularities. It triggered a review of my entire work visa application. The timing couldn't have been coincidental. That night, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. The message was simple. This is just the beginning. You destroyed my life. I didn't need to guess who sent it. The pattern was clear now. Hiro hadn't just left the company. He'd declared war. Every aspect of my life in Japan was under attack. My work, my relationship, my legal status, even my daily routine had become battlegrounds. But I'd learned something important from those months studying Japanese culture. In business, patience and persistence mattered more than quick victories. Hiro might have connections, but I had something he'd lost. The trust I'd earned through honest dedication. The real test was just beginning. The Osaka presentation loomed 3 weeks away. I arrived at the office before sunrise, determined to prepare despite the mounting obstacles. The conference room I'd reserved had been mysteriously mysteriously double-booked. I worked from the lobby instead, spreading documents across a coffee table while early arriving employees stepped around me. Hiro appeared in the building directory as a consultant for our Osaka clients. The receptionist mentioned it casually when I asked about meeting rooms. My stomach dropped. He'd positioned himself perfectly to sabotage our biggest opportunity of the quarter. During the strategy session, I noticed subtle changes in team dynamics. Conversations halted when I entered rooms. Email responses came slower, more formal. The isolation tactic was working, but I pushed forward with proposal preparations. Tanaka Trading's senior manager, Tanabe, approached me after observing my lobby work session. He'd been with the company 15 years and commanded respect across all departments. He suggested we grab coffee at a place away from the office. I accepted immediately. At the coffee shop, Tanabe revealed his own history with Hiro. Years ago, Hiro had tried to undermine him during a promotion opportunity. The tactics seemed familiar: whispered rumors, mysterious technical problems, social isolation. Tanabe had weathered it through sheer determination. The negotiation prep intensified as the Osaka date approached. I rebuilt my presentation 3 times after mysterious file corruptions. It couldn't explain the targeted attacks on my work alone. Other employees' files remained untouched. Mika's cousin called her with an unusual proposition. Hiro had offered him a position at double his current salary, but with strange conditions. He needed to provide updates about our personal life, our weekend plans, my work schedule. The cousin felt uncomfortable enough to warn us. The morning of the Osaka trip, my reserved taxi never arrived. The company's usual car service claimed no record of my booking, despite my confirmation email. I barely made the bullet train after scrambling for alternative transportation. In Osaka, the clients greeted me coolly. Hiro sat at their conference table, introduced as their new efficiency consultant. He'd been advising them for 2 weeks already, plenty of time to plant seeds of doubt about Tanaka Trading's foreign representative. Throughout the presentation, Hiro interrupted with clarification requests in rapid-fire Japanese. He questioned specific word choices, implied my language skills weren't sophisticated enough for complex negotiations. Each interruption forced me to prove my competency while maintaining professional composure. The client's body language shifted as I navigated Hiro's obstacles. My innovative distribution proposal captured their interest despite his interference. I'd spent weeks analyzing their specific challenges, and my solutions addressed real problems Hiro's generic consulting couldn't match. After the meeting, Hiro approached me in the hotel lobby. He made his offer clear: leave Japan within a month and the harassment would stop. He'd even provide a positive reference for opportunities back in America. I declined without hesitation. Back in Tokyo, I found an unexpected ally. The janitor, Tanaka-san, no relation to the boss, pulled me aside one evening. Hiro had approached him before leaving the company, offering money for information about my daily habits. The janitor had refused and kept quiet until now. Security footage from the cafe meetings proved more valuable than expected. Tanabe had a contact in building security who provided clearer images. We could identify 3 current employees meeting regularly with Hiro, though we needed more evidence of actual wrongdoing. A former colleague from Hiro's university reached out through LinkedIn. She'd seen the anonymous blog post and recognized the writing style. Hiro had orchestrated similar campaigns against 2 other students who'd outperformed him academically. She shared screenshots from years ago. The patterns were identical. My calm handling of the Osaka situation impressed board member Yamamoto. He attended a follow-up meeting where I navigated another of Hiro's surprise appearances with professional grace. Yamamoto mentioned fast-track promotion possibilities if I maintained this performance level. The contract deadline approached with both companies submitting final proposals. Hiro's firm undercut our pricing significantly, but their proposal lacked the customized solutions I'd developed. The clients faced a clear choice between cost and quality. Tanabe revealed he'd been documenting Hiro's interference for weeks. After growing suspicious of the coordinated problems, he'd started recording conversations and saving emails. 3 employees had approached him about bribes they'd been offered to provide information about my work. During an industry networking event, Hiro's composure finally cracked. He confronted me near the registration table, his voice rising as he accused me of stealing his life. Several industry veterans witnessed his outburst, including potential clients for his new firm. The confrontation escalated when I maintained silent professionalism. Hiro's frustration mounted as I refused to engage with his accusations. He grabbed my shoulder, spinning me around as security moved toward us. The physical contact crossed a line that witnesses wouldn't forget. 2 employees who'd been meeting with Hiro approached me privately the next day. They admitted accepting small payments for information, but wanted to make things right. They'd grown uncomfortable with Hiro's increasingly desperate demands and recognized they'd chosen the wrong side. My American friend from MIT helped investigate Hiro's background at my request. The search revealed no record of Hiro in their alumni database, despite his claims of studying there during summer programs. Another fabrication added to the growing list. Mr. Tanaka called me into his office after the second client returned. He'd been documenting every incident since the cancellations started. His legal team was building a case for corporate sabotage. He needed my cooperation, but wanted to ensure ensure I understood the commitment required. The major contract announcement came through on a Thursday afternoon. Tanaka Trading had won with my innovative proposal beating Hero's price-focused offer. The victory felt hollow, knowing Hero would escalate further, but it proved that quality work could overcome sabotage. Mika stood firmly beside me, despite increasing pressure from her social circle. Her friends received anonymous messages claiming I'd made degrading comments about Japanese women. She defended me publicly, posting photos of us together with captions about trust and partnership. The tea ceremony incident occurred during a cultural event Mika's family attended. Hero's mother was present, and when the instructor mentioned the business community drama, she approached Mika's family with tearful apologies. She'd had no idea about her son's behavior. Industry newsletter coverage shifted the narrative significantly. The article about foreign talent succeeding in Japanese business featured my photo and quoted Yamamoto about next-generation leadership. Hero's campaign couldn't compete with positive press from respected sources. Email evidence surfaced, showing Hero violating his non-compete clause. He'd been soliciting Tanaka Trading clients while still employed, using company resources for personal gain. The documentation came from one of the employees who'd decided to come forward. His new employer started questioning his methods after multiple client complaints. His aggressive tactics and emotional instability during negotiations concerned senior management. The professional facade he'd maintained was crumbling under pressure. Office dynamics shifted noticeably as truth emerged. Employees who'd avoided me began offering normal greetings again. The break room conversations included me naturally. The tide was turning through consistent professional behavior rather than retaliation. The American Chamber of Commerce invitation arrived unexpectedly. They wanted me to speak about cross-cultural success in Japanese business. The opportunity would expand my professional network beyond Tanaka Trading and Hero's reach. Another direct confrontation occurred at the quarterly industry conference. Hero accused me of stealing his life, his future with Mika, his position at the company. His voice carried across the convention center lobby as attendees turned to watch. A respected industry veteran intervened, publicly supporting my contribution to international business development. His endorsement carried weight that Hero's accusations couldn't overcome. The public validation from someone of his stature mattered immensely in Japanese business culture. Hero's girlfriend discovered the depth of his obsession when she found folders of printed screenshots about me. The documentation included my daily routines, social media posts, even photographs taken without my knowledge. She ended their relationship publicly at a company event. The university victim contacted me after seeing the industry newsletter. She shared detailed accounts of Hero's past behavior, taking credit for group projects, spreading rumors about competitors, always blaming others when his schemes failed. The pattern stretched back over a decade. I helped Sato with a complex client issue despite his earlier betrayal. He'd been struggling with the technical aspects of a proposal, and I provided guidance without mentioning past conflicts. The gesture didn't go unnoticed by other team members. 5 employees formally apologized during a team meeting. They admitted falling for Hero's manipulation, but recognized their error. The public acknowledgement helped rebuild team cohesion and trust. Hero's fake social media accounts got exposed when he accidentally posted a rant about me from his main profile instead of an anonymous one. The mistake revealed connections between multiple harassment accounts. Screenshots spread quickly through our industry network. Mr. Tanaka's friend from Mitsubishi provided crucial information. Kenji, the supposed ex-boyfriend, had never dated Mika. They'd been in the same university program, but nothing more. Hero had fabricated the entire romantic history to manipulate Mr. Tanaka. Client relationships strengthened as they witnessed my handling of adversity. Several mentioned admiring how I maintained professionalism despite obvious harassment. Japanese business culture valued perseverance and dignity under pressure. Financial irregularities surfaced in Tanaka Trading's accounting review. Small amounts had been systematically redirected during Hero's employment. The embezzlement was minor, but showed a pattern of ethical violations beyond personal vendetta. Cherry blossom season approached with its cultural significance for new beginnings. Hero made increasingly desperate moves as this traditional transition period neared. His actions became more erratic and poorly planned. His employer discovered he'd been using company resources for personal attacks. The IT department found evidence of emails sent during work hours, company computers used to manage fake social media accounts, and client databases accessed for harassment purposes. The visa review process continued with additional documentation requests. I provided everything requested promptly, maintaining transparent communication with immigration officials. My lawyer remained confident despite the manufactured complications. I demonstrated growth by helping one of Hero's innocent new colleagues who'd been caught in the crossfire. She'd been assigned to a project targeting Tanaka Trading without understanding the personal motivations. I provided professional guidance that helped her navigate the ethical dilemma. The industry association received multiple ethics complaints about Hero. His membership application faced rejection as board members discussed patterns of unprofessional behavior. The formal censure would effectively blacklist him from major firms. firms. Clients began returning to Tanaka Trading as the full story emerged. They'd been uncomfortable with Hiro's aggressive tactics and emotional instability. Professional relationships proved more resilient than his sabotage attempts anticipated. My permanent residency approval arrived faster than expected. The immigration office had investigated the complaint thoroughly and found it baseless. With visa concerns resolved, Hiro lost significant leverage in his campaign. He made a final attempt to influence Mika's grandmother, sending her articles about foreigners taking advantage of Japanese families. The elderly woman surprised everyone by defending me, praising my dedication to learning proper customs and respecting traditions. The company anniversary event showcased employee unity. Despite months of tension, the team rallied together for presentations and celebrations. Hiro's absence felt like a shadow lifting from the organization. Major newspaper coverage followed the industry newsletter. The feature on international business success in Japan included interviews with Mr. Tanaka and board members. The positive publicity countered any lingering effects from anonymous blog posts. I compiled comprehensive evidence of corporate sabotage for the industry board. The documentation included emails, recordings, witness statements, and financial records. The package painted a clear picture of systematic harassment. Hiro's former mentor, a respected executive who'd supported his early career, publicly distanced himself. He published a LinkedIn post about the importance of ethical behavior in business, clearly referencing recent events without naming names. The truth about Hiro's motivations finally emerged through former classmates. He'd harbored feelings for Mika since university, but never acted on them. His resentment toward successful foreigners stemmed from personal inadequacy rather than cultural pride. Digital evidence validated every claim against Hiro. Screenshots, recordings, and email trails created an undeniable record. His attempts to delete evidence came too late. Multiple parties had preserved documentation. The Business Ethics Committee received our formal complaint with supporting evidence. Their investigation would determine industry-wide consequences for Hiro's behavior. The process moved slowly but thoroughly. Private conversations among industry leaders revealed Hiro's growing blacklist status. Major firms quietly agreed not to hire him, recognizing the liability he represented. His professional future in Tokyo evaporated with each burned bridge. His social media meltdown began with accusations of conspiracy. He claimed the entire industry had turned against him unfairly, that I'd manipulated everyone through foreign influence. The unhinged posts only reinforced decision-makers' concerns about his stability. Some colleagues wondered aloud if the consequences were too severe. Despite everything, Hiro had shown genuine talent in his work. The waste of potential troubled those who'd known him before his obsession took hold. I faced a decision about pressing formal charges. The evidence supported criminal harassment claims, but legal action would extend the conflict. I chose to focus on building my future rather than pursuing revenge through courts. The choice triggered mixed reactions from supporters. Some wanted to see Hiro face full consequences, while others appreciated the forward-looking approach. Mika supported whatever decision brought us peace. The Golden Week celebration would bring everyone together at a major hotel ballroom. Industry leaders, clients, and employees would attend the networking event. The public setting guaranteed our paths would cross one final time. The full truth about Hiro's jealousy emerged during an unexpected encounter at the hotel ballroom. I arrived early to help with setup when I spotted him near the registration desk, his shoulders tense as he filled out paperwork. His eyes met mine across the room, and for a moment, neither of us moved. He approached slowly, his usual swagger replaced by something more uncertain. When he reached me, he pulled out his phone and showed me old university photos. Mika appeared in several, laughing with classmates at various events. In each one, Hiro stood slightly apart, watching her with an expression I now recognized as longing. The revelation came through broken admissions and half-finished explanations. He'd never confessed his feelings, convinced she saw him only as a childhood friend. When she started dating Kenji, he'd convinced himself it was temporary. But when she brought me to meet her father, speaking of marriage plans, something inside him had snapped. Screenshots and recordings from various sources validated every claim against him. The digital trail painted a comprehensive picture of systematic harassment that industry leaders couldn't ignore. Multiple employees had preserved evidence of bribe attempts, false rumors, and coordinated sabotage efforts. The Business Ethics Committee delivered their final verdict through official channels. Their investigation confirmed patterns of corporate espionage, harassment, and ethical violations spanning months. The formal censure effectively ended Hiro's career prospects at any reputable firm in Tokyo. Industry leaders implemented an informal blacklist through private communications. Word spread quickly through executive networks about the liability Hiro represented. Major firms quietly removed him from consideration for any positions, recognizing the risk to their workplace harmony. His desperate social media campaign intensified with wild accusations. He claimed a conspiracy of foreign influence had turned the entire Japanese business community against him. The increasingly unhinged posts only reinforced concerns about his mental state and professional judgment. Some former colleagues expressed conflicted feelings about the severity of consequences. They remembered Hiro's genuine talents before obsession consumed him. The waste of potential troubled those who'd witnessed his earlier promise in the industry. I made my decision about legal action after careful consideration. The evidence certainly supported criminal harassment charges, but pursuing them would only extend the conflict. I chose to focus energy on building my future rather than dwelling on past attacks. The Golden Week celebration proceeded with careful security arrangements. Event organizers, aware of the situation, positioned staff strategically throughout the ballroom. The precautions proved unnecessary as Hiro maintained distance, isolated at a corner table. During the networking portion, I noticed him attempting conversations with various attendees. Most politely excused themselves after brief exchanges, clearly uncomfortable with his presence. His former mentor pointedly avoided eye contact when passing nearby. Mr. Tanaka made his announcement during the formal ceremony portion. He introduced me as a future executive, praising my handling of recent challenges. The public endorsement carried weight in our traditional industry, cementing my position despite earlier sabotage attempts. Industry recognition followed with the Newcomer of the Year award. The selection committee specifically mentioned my innovative Osaka proposal and professional conduct under pressure. Accepting the award, I focused on thanking mentors and colleagues rather than mentioning recent difficulties. Hiro's final manipulation attempt came during the dessert service. He approached our table, suggesting loudly that I'd only succeeded through deception and foreign privilege. The accusation fell flat as witnesses remembered his documented lies and ethical violations. The confrontation ended when security quietly escorted him out. He didn't resist, seemingly deflated by the complete failure of his campaign. Several attendees shook their heads, commenting on the sad deterioration of someone once considered promising. His new employer terminated his position shortly after the event. Client complaints about aggressive tactics and emotional instability had mounted beyond acceptable levels. The dismissal letter cited multiple breaches of professional conduct standards. Tanaka Trading employees demonstrated remarkable unity following months of division. The anniversary celebration showcased genuine team cohesion as people collaborated on presentations without the previous tensions. Hiro's departure had lifted an invisible weight from the organization. Major newspaper coverage of international business success featured our company prominently. The article highlighted next-generation leadership and cross-cultural innovation, including interviews with Mr. Tanaka and board members. The positive publicity overshadowed any lingering effects from anonymous attack blogs. I submitted the comprehensive evidence package to relevant authorities. The documentation included emails, recordings, witness statements, and financial records showing systematic harassment and corporate sabotage. While I chose not to pursue criminal charges, the record existed for future reference. Hiro's former mentor published a thoughtful LinkedIn article about ethical leadership. Without naming specific individuals, he discussed the importance of accepting competition gracefully and building success through merit rather than undermining others. The message clearly referenced recent events. Former classmates revealed more context about Hiro's long-standing patterns. He'd consistently blamed others for his failures, created elaborate justifications for his shortcomings, and harbored resentments against those who achieved what he couldn't. The behavior predated my arrival by years. The immigration office concluded their review with full approval of my permanent residency. Their investigation found the complaint baseless, recognizing it as harassment rather than legitimate concern. The approval removed any remaining leverage from Hiro's arsenal of attacks. Mika's grandmother became one of my strongest supporters after learning the full story. She praised my restraint in not retaliating against Hiro despite severe provocation. Her approval carried significant weight within the extended family network. Private industry discussions revealed the extent of Hiro's blacklisting. Executive networks had informally agreed to protect their organizations from similar disruption. His professional future in Tokyo's business community had effectively ended through his own actions. His final social media posts showed increasing desperation and delusion. He ranted about discrimination, claimed victim status, and promised to expose the truth about corruption in Japanese business. The posts garnered little engagement as former connections distanced themselves. I encountered him one last time at Tokyo Station. He was loading boxes into a taxi, preparing to leave for a position in rural Kyushu. We made eye contact briefly before he looked away, the fight completely gone from his expression. The move represented his only remaining option for employment. A small firm there, unconnected to Tokyo's business networks, had offered him a junior position. The role was far below his previous status, but it provided a chance to start over away from his ruined reputation. Tanaka Trading thrived in the following months, with strengthened international partnerships. My innovative approaches, proven under fire, became standard practice. The company's success vindicated Mr. Tanaka's decision to support me, despite initial resistance. Team cohesion improved dramatically without Hiro's divisive influence. Employees who'd been manipulated into opposition became valuable collaborators. The shared experience of overcoming orchestrated disruption had actually strengthened our working relationships. Client relationships deepened as they witnessed our handling of adversity. Several mentioned mentioned admiring the professionalism maintained despite obvious sabotage attempts. Japanese business culture's emphasis on perseverance and dignity had worked in our favor. The American Chamber of Commerce speaking engagement expanded my influence beyond Tanaka trading. Discussing cross-cultural success in Japanese business, I focused on positive strategies rather than dwelling on recent challenges. The presentation opened doors to new partnerships and opportunities. Mika and I announced our engagement at a family dinner. Her parents' full support, earned through months of demonstrated commitment, made the moment especially meaningful. Even relatives who'd initially harbored doubts offered sincere congratulations. The wedding planning proceeded without interference. Hiro's complete absence from Tokyo meant no disruption to our celebration. Former mutual acquaintances politely declined invitations, choosing to avoid potential awkwardness. Mr. Tanaka began formally training me in traditional aspects of the business. The tea ceremony lessons represented more than cultural education. They symbolized full acceptance into both the family and company leadership. His patient instruction showed genuine investment in my future. Our first child arrived during cherry blossom season the following year. The timing felt symbolic, representing new beginnings after a difficult period. Mr. Tanaka's joy at becoming a grandfather transcended any lingering concerns about cultural differences. The company expanded internationally under collaborative leadership. My proposals for Western partnerships, combined with traditional Japanese business values, created unique competitive advantages. Success came through synthesis rather than opposition of different approaches. Industry recognition continued with speaking invitations and board positions. Each achievement felt earned through perseverance rather than privilege. The challenges overcome had actually accelerated my career progression beyond normal expectations. Reports filtered back about Hiro's situation in Kyushu. He worked quietly at the small firm, keeping a low profile. Some said he'd found peace away from Tokyo's competitive environment. Others suggested he simply lacked the energy for new schemes. His complete disappearance from our professional sphere brought unexpected relief. The constant vigilance against sabotage had been exhausting. Normal business challenges felt manageable after months of orchestrated harassment. Looking back, Hiro's vendetta had paradoxically strengthened my position. Every attack had forced me to prove competence and build alliances. The adversity had accelerated integration into Japanese business culture through trial by fire. Standing in Tanaka Trading's executive office, I reflected on the journey. Fluency in language and culture had come through dedication rather than birthright. The view of Tokyo's skyline represented achievement earned through perseverance, not handed through connection. Mika joined me at the window, our child in her arms. 3 generations of the Tanaka family would guide the company forward, bridging cultures through mutual respect. The future we'd built together transcended the narrow vision Hiro had tried to impose. Even Hiro had reportedly found stability in his smaller city. Without the ghost of imagined entitlements haunting him, perhaps he could build genuine success.